pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight and just thank you for all the blessings that you give us. We just ask you to be with us tonight as we do the business of our citizens, that we will do the right things, and just we thank you for everything that you do for us, and we just ask this everything in Jesus' name, amen.
I would like to call this meeting of City Council to order. Welcome everyone. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. I hope you have a great holiday this week. So we will start with roll call, please.
Foster.
Here.
Hall.
Here.
Colby.
Here.
Peters.
Here.
Newkirk.
Here.
Biggs. Bob.
Here.
As I had mentioned there momentarily earlier, Mrs. Biggs did come to see me about 3:15, and she had to go to Columbus this evening. I apologize that she couldn't be here. So I'd entertain a motion to, excuse me, Mr. Call, second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Colby. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next is our recognition and visitors, and I'll start with Mayor. I think he has one for us this evening.
Yes. I invited to council tonight Ms. Suzanne Walk. So if you'll come forward, please. Probably most of you know Suzanne. Just come right up here. So you'll be on national TV. Let's see, you gotta look. It don't matter. Up there. Suzanne started with the city of Jackson a little over 20 years ago, way back in 2001. She hired on as a, who hired you?
Tom Evans was
Mayor
there.
Evans. Yeah,
Yes.
the last Mayor Evans. I
Yes,
figured.
yes.
As a part-time meter reader. And then after a period of time, she became full-time meter reader. For the last 16 years, she has been a janitor, and she takes care of this place, the police station, the memorial building, and she does an outstanding job. But unfortunately, with regrets, we have accepted her notice of retirement, and she finishes up
Tuesday.
next week. So I just wanted to bring her here and congratulate her and
Thank you.
give her our best wishes and let you all know what's going on. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's been a
She
blessing.
made me promise not to make her say anything, or she wasn't coming.
Yes.
So
Well,
that's
thank
up to you.
you.
If you want to say anything.
I'll just say it has been a blessing to work for the city. I've worked under 4 administrations now and have enjoyed it, and I'm sure I'll miss everybody, but it was just time to go. So enjoy my grandson and different things. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will also announce that today we just awarded her job to another 20-year city employee, Lisa Atwood, who will be moving from the garbage department over to fill that role. Also, I want to mention, this was just laid on me today, I give a little attaboy to our water treatment plant personnel. We received a letter today from the Ohio EPA where they had done their survey of employee certificates there, and they listed everyone out there, and everyone was certified as needed to be. And we'll just list the names. Some of these people work at both plants if they're in maintenance. Austin Aldridge, Brian Wilt, Jimmy Anderson, Jimmy McCarty, Jennings Gillenwater, Matthew Crabtree, Michael Leach, Shane Bentley, Willie Porter, and Ron Aldridge, who as you know runs that water plant for us. It was their annual EPA check. Listed 0 violations on their check. There was a few minor recommendations they made, but 0 violations. So good news from the high EPA and people at our water treatment plant are doing a good job. Also,
Can I jump in on that?
you can jump in on that. Go right ahead.
The folks there that got the certifications and the names that the mayor read off, not only is that your operators at the water plant, that's your maintenance folks at both water and sewer, and we've also now got individuals from our water distribution group that are now certified that can help run that water plant as well. So that is deeper into our staffing than the city's ever been with qualified people.
And the reason, I should have said that when I said it, the reason some people work both plants is because we've combined jobs, like our maintenance people are maintenance people at both plants now, rather than we got to set at one plant and set at the other plant to increase efficiency. Same way if he mentioned one of our employees in our water distribution and sewer collection system can backfill when needed out there, so we don't have to have an extra employee that we need occasionally. So we're just trying to build in more efficiency and so that we can do the same thing with less people, because most of our money goes to payroll, frankly. I do want to mention a couple other things. Dan Call, Councilman Dan Call is here tonight. He celebrated his 85th birthday Saturday. So thank you, Dan Call. And then, you want to say anything, Dan?
Yeah, I lived through it, yeah. It's too cold to golf.
Dan does like to golf, I will say that. But anyway, thanks for being here, Dan, and congratulations. And then I know Dave Channel, you've got Dave Channel on the list to speak, but he's going to speak in a minute. But I also want you all to know, if you don't, because I know some of you didn't, with him tonight at his first council meeting is Kyle Hickey, who for a short while has been our assistant fire chief to Dave Channel. So welcome, Kyle, and thank you for your service to the fire department. I yield back to you, Dan.
Thank you, Mayor. So with that, I think Mr. Channel had Whitey's here this evening, and I think he signed up to speak, so we're going to let him go to the microphone, and Kyle needs to say anything on him also, and turn you loose.
Okay, you should have in your packets tonight 2 grants for you to prove that we participate in. The first one is AFG 2021. Last year we applied for that, if you recall. We paid Mickey Smith to write that grant. We did not get it. So last year was $4,000. This year it's $1,000, $500 per project. So we're going along with that, with you council's approval. Apply for the same thing, 9 new air packs, air bottles, and the second project would be all new battery operated rescue tools. Get rid of all of the hydraulics. And then the next grant is a no DNR grant, which you can apply for a skid unit, an ATV, gear, structural gear, air packs, Marks radios. That's up to a $10,000 grant, matching $10,000. So we ask you to approve those as an emergency ordinance, both of them, because by the time they are due, you will not be able to get 3 meetings in on council. So we'd ask you to approve those tonight as an emergency ordinance. Any questions on those grants? The first grant I forget to mention on the AFG, that's a 5% match. I think last year was pushing a $140,000 grant we applied for. So, 5% of that, it's pretty reasonable to get that kind of money from the government. So we're hoping we get it this time. Any questions? That's it.
Thanks, Chief Channel.
All right,
Appreciate it.
thank you for
Thank you for coming this evening. Next, we'll move into the approval of minutes. In your packet, there should have been a copy of our last meeting's minutes from November the 8th. Is there any corrections, objections, or anything that needs to be done? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Mr. Bott, motion. Is there a second? Ms. Colby, a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next, we'll go into committee reports. We'll start with utility. Mr. Call.
No report.
Thank you, Mr. Call. Budget and finance, I know Mrs. Biggs is not here this evening, but anyone else on our committee have anything? I believe possibly Mr. Swackhammer, we are going to have a budget meeting called next week.
Yeah, I will speak more about that when it gets down to my turn.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Police, fire, and traffic, Ms. Colby.
Yes, we had a meeting tonight, a committee meeting, and we had our fire chief and our assistant fire chief, and we had a really good meeting. And there's some ordinances that we're looking at that will be coming probably the next time, or whenever Mr. Swackhammer gets everything done. So I guess that's it until we get the ordinances and see what all that they're going to bring to us.
Thank you, Ms. Colby. Any questions? Ms. Colby? Thank you. Service, Mr. Peters?
We had a meeting last Monday regarding the cemetery, and it was very well attended. There were some suggestions from the public, which I will ask Joe to check into for us. There were some suggestions that the families of these burial plots be able to take care of them themselves with some sort of waiver form. Probably, I mean, I'm no attorney, but that doesn't seem like something we'd probably be able to do, but we got to do all our due diligence to make sure that if we can, we offer that. Mr. Swackhammer presented to the committee some changes that he saw fit, and I will have to agree with the changes that he presented to us. We didn't really get a chance to discuss them in the meeting because it did last an hour and we were set for an hour. But just to recap some of the things, and then I'll let him speak on it as well, as making some minor changes, doing away with annual and perpetual care, and then trying to figure out how to get the levy corrected so it can actually cover the costs annually of the operations of the cemetery, which is what it's in place for now. I know maybe last year the levy was up for renewal, and we didn't make any changes, any major changes. I guess the public that has attended these meetings are, they're kind of upset that they're the ones who take care of these family members' grave sites, and they're not really the issue that we're having. The people that have been coming to the meetings are what we would like to see everyone do. However, they feel like they're being penalized because other people don't take care of their grave sites. It's ongoing. Obviously, they're going to have many more meetings to have some sort of resolution to it. It does seem like there's just so much that's happening that I think that Mr. Swackhammer's kind of narrowed it down to, hey, if we can focus on these things, then we can enforce, and then we can also care for in a better manner the cemetery. So I butchered that all up. I had my notes, and then I didn't. I know Cindy's telling me she forgot to put them in there, so I'll let Mr. Swackhammer kind of speak on that. But just before I turn it over to him, we don't have anything scheduled. I'd like to meet with him personally so we can kind of hone and focus on one task at a time, and then we'll build it from there. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Swacken, before you speak, can,
Just take one and pass it.
let's pass out these minutes here so everybody has a copy, and then they can, if you have something that may refer back to it. I think we're fine, go ahead.
Ryan is correct. The audience that has been at most of these meetings, probably 6 to 8 representatives and stuff, are not the issue. If that was the issues that we had to deal with, there would be no issues. But we've got to treat everybody the same. We got to treat everybody fairly. The draft that Mr. Peters referred to did loosen up some items to allow for some planting of flowers, but it also took safety and efficiency into consideration too. So we tried to listen, and what we heard people talk about that they would like to do, we took that into consideration. We tried to find a happy medium. And so I think that is our attempt, again, is to find a happy medium. Probably if both parties are not totally happy, we're probably getting closer to that happy medium. So I look forward to spending some time with Mr. Peters on that draft, and maybe then making it more public to get maybe some public input onto it, Ryan, at some point in the future. Before we get into the next mowing season and have an opportunity to address it at that time. So, reach out to me sometime and set up a date, and we'll get together.
That's all I had.
Anything else? Any questions for Mr. Peters? There was in service. Okay, thank you. Next on our agenda is the auditor's report. Mr. Reed.
We've been trying to go through the budget and trying to catch things back up. We've been trying to make sure that we have enough for the cash outs and everything at the end of the year that's coming up. There are 2 ordinances that were added. We were able to move money around for everybody but the council itself, and also for IT. There's 2 ordinances that we need to have passed tonight if council would do so we can pay those people, yourselves included. And that should do what we're projecting right now for the year end. So hopefully there won't be any more. This is actually a pretty good wrap up so far. So we've got a lot of work to do to finish up for the end of the year.
Questions for Mr. Reed? Mr. Swackhammer?
If I might add on what Mr. Reed said, one of those items was there was an increase in for council in the clerk's budget for this year. So we'll have to address it here in the last month of the year to make sure that is taken care of. We did not adjust it back when the event occurred. We thought we'd just let it go to see where we're at. Again, these are not going to increase the budget. These are just being able to move the money that is still available to us to cover the deficit in some of the other accounts. And with the IT one, our IT person has elected to cash out more at year end than was originally budgeted for. Again, we're not increasing the budget at all. We just need to move some funds where we still had remaining funds in order to complete these transactions yet in a timely fashion and close out the year.
Thank you, Mr. Swackhammer. Mr. Kirby.
I don't have anything to report. Excuse me, report.
Thank you, Mr. Kirby. Mayor Evans.
Couple of project updates. I mentioned to you last meeting that we'd received a little over $1 million for a portion of our Mill Street project. In the Mill Street neighborhood, we'd proposed a project to not only replace all the old sewer lines in that neighborhood, but also add sewer to areas in that neighborhood that didn't have city sewer, never had had city sewer. And also we had put together a proposed project to replace all the water lines in the entire neighborhood. We put together these projects in an attempt to reach out and search for funding. And the project don't don't happen until we get the funding. So I mentioned at the last meeting that we received just a little over $1 million for the sewer project into that neighborhood where there is no sewer. We currently, right now, are, in fact, I'll be taking it to them tomorrow. We currently have been preparing to reach out to the county commissioners. The county commissioners have a lot of ARPA funds available too. They received a sizable payment on that. And we're hoping they'll help contribute to some of our water and sewer projects that we have identified. We previously had reached out to Lick Township for part of their ARPA money, and I'm not sure what the current status of that is. They had made some commitments for part of it, and we're going to give us the rest of it, or at least had talked that way. So we're just looking for any and all sources of funding to help move these projects along, and there's many of them. We've talked about a lot of them, but this Mill Street sewer, where there is no sewer, was best fit the qualifications of that project, where they were going to award $1 million to some project in the county. So we were fortunate to get that. So now we're going to try to do more, at least the water in that same area, while we're doing those sewer lines, if the county will help us out there. Mention again the holiday light up, it's called, for Christmas. It's coming December 4th, the first Saturday in December, where we will have the parade at 7 p.m. that night, followed by the lighting up of the trees in the park, followed by fireworks. Again, that's sponsored and managed by the fire department. So that's just a reminder. Also, on Thursday night, the 2nd, 2 dates before that, Mayhew Brown Funeral Home will be having their holiday event. That's usually a well-attended, nice event downtown. So make you aware of that. You might notice this week already, some people think it's a little early, but we want to have everything up and working by the 4th. Many of our memorial lights downtown have been put up, as well as many of the wreaths downtown have been put up this week. I want to mention to you and ask, actually, for council to schedule a special meeting on a week from tonight, on Monday. Special meeting to deal with one item, and that would be, we expect to hear between now, actually before the end of this week, a response from the fact finder that is working on the Teamsters union contract. And we will only have 7 days to respond to that. So we will have to say yay or nay or do nothing before the next regular scheduled council meeting. So we would like to have you schedule a meeting for the 29th, a special meeting, and then if for some reason that wouldn't come through and we wouldn't need it, we could cancel it on that Monday.
May I jump in? Can we schedule that for not only the event Mayor mentioned, but any other appropriate business as well? We expect that there may be some other items, but we know we could possibly have that one for sure, but there may be other activities. If none of these come to fruition, we can cancel, but I want the opening to be able to bring other items, if they so be, to council.
Mr. President, just as best practice, and I don't know if Mr. Kirby can tell us, but when we call special meetings, shouldn't we also include any pertinent business?
So when the notice goes out, the notice for a special meeting has to include specifically what the meeting's about. And then if you want to preserve the right to call in to discuss anything else, you can put all other business, but it should be included in the notice.
Or just I think that'd probably be a best practice, just in case. That way we don't hamstring ourselves and have to have another special meeting or another scheduled meeting, I guess, the next day or whatever, so.
Is everybody okay with that then? Have your clerk go ahead and announce that meeting as a special meeting for the reason and any other business that might come before the council?
So that'll be next Monday, 7 o'clock. That would be the 29th.
Yep, 29th. Okay, that's all I have, thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Swikammer?
Yeah, there's several items in tonight's packet that I'll go over in a second. On the 4th also, besides the items that the mayor mentioned, the 4th is the sale of city property that we've advertised now for the set number of weeks, and the parcels have been posted. So that auction is scheduled for the 4th in the morning at the steps for the Memorial Building. All the information are actually on the signs on the property and have been for 5 consecutive weeks advertised in the newspaper as well. So just wanted to make sure everybody's aware of that. In your packets tonight, that you will find the reserve fund ordinances for the water, sewer, and garbage. Electric was done back in 2018, but there has never been an official reserve fund set up for the other 3, and you'll see those. Also in your packets tonight is budget. There is an object line, which is what we passed out last year. Before you leave tonight, this is the line item piece that is your deep dive into those with a note column. Please pick up one of those so that you, as you look at your budget numbers, you can then look at the line items and look at more specific detail and any comments that is made there. I know Ms. Biggs is not here tonight, but ahead of the special council next week at 6 p.m., I am asking for a Budget and Finance Committee, and I am asking that if any council members have feedback from the budget, from the line item portion, back to the Budget and Finance Committee. In Debbie's absence, Marva, can you coordinate that tonight and make sure that Debbie is aware of it? And you know, I hate to speak for Debbie. I don't know what her situation is as far as in Columbus. I just need somebody to be a point person for that committee for council to feed their questions back to.
She will be back, I believe, in Jackson tomorrow.
Okay.
So I think it was just an up and back, as I understood what she told me.
Okay. So again, hopefully first reading tonight for the budget. It is still very liquid until we have at least a couple meetings here and answer questions. And I would expect that coming out of the Budget and Finance meeting, if there are things that we need to adjust, next meeting on second reading, we'll make those adjustments at that time. Again, the plan is by the second meeting in December, that being third reading, with the emergency clause on it, we will have a 2022 budget approved. So Mr. Reed then can get with the appropriate people so we can get ready to open up the first of the year within a week or so after January 1st and get the city back up and running. So that is homework for sure. A lot of dollars you're going to see there. I'm showing you in the detailed level the 19, 20, 21, and 22 budget numbers for each of those line items, so you can see a year-over-year comparison. The number you're going to find for this year's budget is just a tad over $43 million, but a lot of that is major projects that are going to come into play this year. But if you look at 19's budget was over $50 million for the city, and that's when they had the Park View sewer project, some lift stations, and some other purchases of equipment and stuff that really ran that budget up. So we're still about $7 million under the 19, and we've got a lot of projects planned as we've talked about already. In your packet also, you're going to see the request to be able to approve and accept the $500,000 for the CBDG grant that we have been awarded for the Mitchell to Wood project. That's in the packet tonight with an emergency clause. I'll ask council to approve it so that we can get that money into the budget so that we can complete that project. That project will be ready to begin early next year if we dot all of our i's and cross all of our t's. So again, it's a $500,000 free money that has come, and the mayor's talked about it a couple times. Big night for budget, a big night for finances tonight with a lot of last minute items to wrap up and just the start of the conversation for the 22 budget.
Thank you, Mr. Schweikhammer. Questions for Mr. Schweikhammer? Ms. Report? Thank you. At this moment, we'll move on to our ordinances and resolutions. We will begin with first reading on ordinances. And the first is Ordinance 6821. Ms. Kuhn.
An ordinance approving and adopting a garbage utility cash reserve policy, including the calculation method to determine the minimum cash reserve.
Can I have a motion to adopt Ordinance 6821 as presented to council? Mr. Peters? Is there a second? Mr. Bach? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discussion. Any further action to be taken on Ordinance 6821?
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Did our conversation trigger this, or is this something that was already planned?
No, this has been in probably since second quarter of this past year, Mr. Reed.
Yes.
Yeah. No,
Let's
that's,
start asking other questions about other things that I'd like to see and see if they just magically appear.
Disney World.
well, if you talk about them 6 months after we've already planned them, that's a good time.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Any further action to be taken on Ordinance 6821? Yes, sir, Mr. Cole.
How does this affect future garbage rates?
This has really nothing to do with the garbage rates. This is setting aside a reserve fund, which all revenue streams should have, so that we can continue to operate in state of emergencies or in catastrophic events. This money will be set aside and will be continued to set aside until such time that, one of those events may happen. You'll notice that there is a slight increase. This is a 5-year plan in there, year over year, just because equipment costs are going to go up, material costs are going to go up, wages are going to go up. Everything is rolled into this, so that's a calculation in there. If you read the verbiage associated with it, it tells you exactly how each of the calculations, what all they consume. For example, in the garbage one, it's not just the operation of the garbage, but it rolls back to utility office and how it's part of its funding as well. You'll see the same thing with the water and the sewer. It's all the supporting activities, water and sewer. The funding in it also is for the distribution and collections, not just the plant operations, and also for the utility office. So it encompasses everything associated with running and providing that utility for the set period of time that it's covering.
I guess the question is, where's the money coming from?
It is coming from, in the past, there has been money that has been put aside, but it has never been identified. So it was that money that was set there that wasn't budgeted a lot of times. And we needed to do this and wrap it up into our line items for the reserve fund. And you'll notice that in our budget, these aren't fully funded. We could not jump in and fully fund something like this all in 1 year. So it's going to take us a little time to fund it, to get up to speed. But it's the first step in the path that Mr. Peters mentioned earlier, a meeting or two ago, that had never been established. So it may take 2 or 3 years in some of these to fund them.
So the initial, you're just capturing miscellaneous monies that are not being identified or used for a specific purpose.
Some of these, yes, they were not identified as an official reserve fund with parameters.
So, are you using all that money up the first year?
Oh, no, these will never be used unless you have the offsetting events that occur, like a catastrophic event.
Yeah, I understand that, but you just put it in the budget. Are you putting it all in the budget, or?
No, you will see that there are targets in the notes when you look at the line item, but we do not have the money set aside to where we can fully fund the reserve fund all the first year.
Yeah, okay, I understand that, yeah.
Mr. Bob?
I don't mean to bring up a bad subject, but is there anything about, with climate control and everything else that's being pushed upon us, is there anything in there about recycling?
The city doesn't have a recycling policy
That's-
right now.
Okay, go ahead, excuse me.
Yeah, we are part of a solid waste district. The recycling dumpsters that are around town are not those of the city, of course. That's part of the solid waste district. And, we have elected not to re-implement the street side residential recycling pickup.
Okay. I just wanted to know because I just see that to be down by the city building garage down there. It's an awful sore sight down there at sometimes. And I just wondered, has there ever been question about possibly sitting down with Rumpke and coming up with a better plan than what caused us to go away from recycling?
Well, a lot of what we went away from recycling for was the percent of our recycling that actually ended up at the landfill anyway. And Rumpke charges about, I want to say it was around 30% more for recycle than it does trash.
Mr. Reed?
On the cash reserve, to clarify that just a little bit, the cash reserve does not keep building. Once you hit your level of cash reserve, that's where it stays. It's controlled by different factors that are listed here. So once you reach that amount, it also can be used, it was asked about the budget and whether you needed to increase the rates for this. Once this is established, if you have extra money, that would be something that would indicate your rates are too high. If you don't, then you may have to raise rates, but it'll be a place where all money will be put, it's in the reserve, and then you'll be able to judge your utility a little better once it's funded. But it will not be used for normal capital improvements. It will be used for something that major happens that you're not ready for, you're not planning for. Most of your utilities will, if they're doing a line build, let's say an electric, that would not be an item that would trigger this. This would be something if the substation down there, we lost 2 transformers at $1 million. That's when that would trigger this to be spent. So it has to be something out of the ordinary that you're not budgeting for.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Again, I ask, is any further action to be taken on ordinance 6821? Hearing none, this constitutes the first reading of ordinance 6821. Next, we will move on to ordinance 6921. Ms. Kuhn?
An ordinance approving and adopting a sewer utility cash reserve policy, including the calculation method to determine the minimum cash reserve.
Could I have a motion to adopt the ordinance 6921 presented to council? Mr. Peters makes a motion. Is there a second? Mr. Newkirk? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, is there any further action to be taken on ordinance 6921? Hearing none, this constitutes the first reading of ordinance 6921. Next, we will move on to ordinance 7021. Ms. Kuhn?
An ordinance approving and adopting a water utility cash reserve policy, including the calculation method to determine the minimum cash reserve.
Make it the trifecta. I'll move to
Motion by Mr. Peters to accept the motion as presented to council. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Colby? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discussion. Is there any further action to be taken on ordinance 7021? Hearing none, this constitutes the first reading of ordinance 7021. Next, we will move on to ordinance 7121. Ms. Kuhn?
An ordinance establishing appropriations for the year 2022, beginning January 1st, 2022, and through December 31st, 2022, and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 7121 as presented to council?
Is this the budget ordinance?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Peters, motion. Second, Mr. Call.
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discussion. Any further action to be taken on ordinance 7221? Contain the motion,
Dan?
or
Dan?
71, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
hold on.
7120.
If I can just remind all the council members to please pick up a copy of the line item before they leave. That's what'll make sense to you.
Mr. President, just to clarify that we're talking about 7120.
Yes, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself and turned the page.
That's all I have. Thank you. Making sure I'm writing on the right page.
So, is there a motion to, for the emergency portion of this, to declare?
Don't we need to have
We don't want,
No.
Oh, you did, I thought you wanted.
we don't want to try to pass it tonight.
No, we don't want-
We're just
definitely
now
not.
presenting it to council.
My
Yeah,
fault.
yeah.
That's the reason I'm on this, but I got emergency written right beside it. This constitutes the first reading of ordinance 7121. Ordinance 7221. Ms. Kuhn?
An ordinance to revise the codified ordinances by adopting current replacement pages thereto and declaring an emergency.
Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 7221 as presented to council? Mr. Foster?
Second.
Second by Mr. Call. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discussion.
These are the changes. We've been getting several of these lately. I wish they'd have come in and all one big packet, but they didn't. These are ORC revisions where the city ordinances differ from ORC updates. So these are the ones that that have been identified for us, and just trying to bring them all in line. I'm going to ask that the council, just to get this one out of the way, use the emergency clause so we can move forward.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend the rules to get ourselves in line with ORC changes.
Second by Mr. Bott. Roll call, please.
Foster? Call?
Yes.
Colby?
Yes.
Peters?
Yes.
Newkirk?
Yes.
Bott?
Yes.
Further discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster?
Yes.
Call?
Yes.
Colby?
Yes.
Peters?
Yes.
Newkirk?
Yes.
Bott?
Yes.
Ordinance 7221 is duly adopted. Next, in your packet, the ordinances is ordinance 7321. Ms. Kuhn?
An ordinance to move appropriations from general fund, transfer out to council salaries and wages fund, and declaring an emergency.
I have a motion to adopt ordinance 7321 as presented to council. Mr. Bott, is there a second? second by Mr. Peters. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discussion.
Yeah,
Mark
this,
Hammond?
this is one Mr. Reed spoke about earlier. This does not increase the budget. This is just moving some items around so that we can finish out the year for both the cash out for one item, and for the other is the increase in council clerk's pay that needs to be addressed for the close of the year.
Mr. President, I move to suspend the rules so that we can appropriate this.
Motion by Mr.
To the
Peters,
correct
second by
fund.
Mr. Bopp. Discussion. Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Call.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Yes.
Further discussion. Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Call.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Yes.
Ordinance 7321 is duly adopted. Our final ordinance is ordinance 7421. Ms. Coon?
An ordinance to move appropriations from various funds for payment of IT salaries and wages and declaring an emergency.
Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 7421 as presented to the council?
Question.
Have to adopt it first.
You have to adopt first, so we'll have to have a motion to adopt, and then we can get a
Motion to
discussion.
adopt.
By Mr. Call, motion is there second. Mr. Bopp, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discussion. Mr. Call.
Who's the IT person?
Tom Thacker.
Okay, that's, all right, thank you.
Other discussion?
Mr. President, once again, just to make sure that the funds are appropriated, this money's owed to this individual, so I would move to suspend the rules so we can appropriate the funds to pay what is owed.
Motion by Mr. Peters, second by Mr. Newkirk. Is there discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Call.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Yes.
Further discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Call.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Yes.
Ordinance 7421 is duly adopted. Next, we will move on to our resolutions this evening. We will begin with Resolution 4521. Ms. Coon?
A resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety or the Chief of the Jackson Fire Department to file an application for the Ohio Department of Natural Resources Grant Program to purchase equipment to be used by the Jackson Fire Department and declaring an emergency.
Could I have a motion to adopt Resolution 4521 as presented to council? Mr. Peters, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Call. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion is carried. Discussion.
I just move to suspend the rules. The application deadline is January 15th, 2022. There's no sense in holding them up to apply for it, so I would just move that we suspend the rules to carry out the process.
Motion by Mr. Peters, second by Mr. Bopp. All those in favor, I'm sorry, excuse me, discussion. Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Call.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk. Bach.
Yes.
Further discussion. Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Call.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Yes.
Resolution 4521 is duly adopted. Next, we will move on to Resolution 4621. Ms. Coon?
A resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety or the Chief of the Jackson Fire Department to file an application for an assistance to firefighters grant program to purchase air packs and rescue equipment to be used by the Jackson Fire Department and declaring an emergency.
Could I have a motion to adopt Resolution 4621 as presented to council? Mr. Peters? Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Colby? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discussion.
Mr. President, there is a deadline on this of December 17th, 2021. We do not have enough time to carry it for the 3 readings. I move to suspend the rules so they can carry on the grant process.
Motion by Mr. Peters, second by Mr. Bob. Discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk. Bach.
Yes.
Further discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Yes.
Resolution 4621 is duly adopted. Our final resolution for the evening is Resolution 4721. Ms. Kuhn?
A resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Jackson to accept the 2021 CDBG Community Development Program grant for funding of the Mitchell Street Sanitary Sewer Project and declaring an emergency.
Could I have a motion to adopt Resolution 4721 as presented to council?
Move to
Mr. Bob? Is there a second? Ms. Colby?
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discussion.
This needs to be done. Yes, I think this needs to be done as an emergency, so I think we need to suspend the rules.
So we have a motion to suspend the rules by Mrs. Colby. Is there a second? By Mr. Newkirk. Further discussion?
Can I ask one question, Mr.
Yes, sir.
President? Obviously, time is of the essence on this because it says 2021, but, I mean, do we have enough time to, are we good timeline-wise?
We've already been awarded the funds. This is to allow us to accept the award.
All right, well, makes it really easy then, doesn't it? Well, ahead, thank you.
Any other discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Yes.
Further discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Resolution 4721 is duly adopted. And the chair wishes to thank Mr. Peters for all of his work there through those. Thank you.
For the people.
Next, I don't believe we had any correspondence that came in, but I think we were going to touch on the holiday schedule, trash for this week.
Yeah, a garbage pickup will be on Friday, with the holiday being on Thursday.
Mr. President, can I ask a couple questions? I don't know where these would fall, but normally at the end of the year, we have meetings to finalize the books, I guess, for the auditor's office. Some people have to work for a living. So just wondering if there's any forecast on what days those would be, or if someone's looked at the calendar to see what we could do for those.
Is it possible that we might have an idea next week at our Monday
Our
meeting?
Monday night meeting, I will try and have a projection on that. But it's going to be, it's always after Christmas. And it's
Right, I get
always
it.
there.
I just would like to know, that way I can try to plan
Okay.
to be here, so.
All right. Is there any old business to be brought before council this evening? I don't believe, other than having Chief Channel and Ryan tonight, anyone has signed in to speak. So moving on to any new business that is out before council that would like to be addressed?
Mr. President?
Yes.
The firefighter dependency fund board needs to meet. Currently, the members are myself and Mr. Foster. They elected 2 new members today. I met with fire chief, and those new members are Kyle Hickey and Stephen Moore. I'm assuming that he's reached out to those guys to let them know. But we have to have a meeting to set our officers. That's going to be scheduled for December 1st, 7:15 p.m. at the fire station. Would be great if Mr. Foster could attend that meeting with me.
And that date again was?
December 1st, 7:15 p.m. at the fire station. it could be open to the public, I guess. Just letting you know, it's just a pretty informal meeting.
Probably will be at the annex, correct? Really? I thought you might have cake and pizza and stuff at the
That also leads me into, I know Mr. Foster will be serving on the next term, so will I. I don't have a problem serving on that board, but if there's anyone else that would be interested in serving on the firefighter dependency board, please let me know. Then we can have a formal vote and elect a couple other people to be involved. But I will do it if no one else.
Thank you for your service, you and Mr. Foster. Thank you for your service, your ongoing service.
Take that as no.
Well, I'll leave it open. The chair will leave it open to possibilities.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Mr. Call, I thought maybe you might have something.
I had a question. Board of Control minutes for Mr. Reed. We're paying $10,000 for bank reconciliations. Is that standard procedure for?
Wouldn't be standard procedure, no. It's just help to get the books straightened out at the end of the year.
For just bank reconciliations?
Bank reconciliations of about 30 accounts, yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Any other old business or any other new business to be brought before council? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Pop, is there a second? Second by Mr. Peters. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We are in adjournment. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Gosh, I wish it was happy Easter. That means winter better over. Good.
Should we do this one? I didn't like it.
Thanksgiving.